Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. Jared here with another review from Fanboys Forever. Today I have the pleasure of reviewing this brand new release from Mezco. It is the Gotham by Gaslight Joker. Now, what's interesting is the Gotham by Gaslight comic is, of course, a very famous one. It is the original Elseworlds tale. However, the Joker did not feature very prominently in that story, and instead what we have here is something more akin to Mezco's own interpretation of what a Gotham by Gaslight Joker, at least a fully realized one and not just a cameo, would be like in that world. And what's interesting here is this works not only as a Joker figure, but as a figure for a lot of other things that we're going to get into as well. All right, let's get right into it. Mezco has opted for a very minimalist approach with their regular kind of Mezco Direct box. It just has this on it, and that's really all there is to say about it. If you like the little Metzits, guys, you get this with it. And mine came with one of the orange ones. And you may be thinking to yourself, is this the same figure I just saw a moment ago in the introduction? It is, but this figure has so many options that I decided to start him out all geared up so that you can see him with all of his accessories as we work our way down. So before we go any further, we'll show you some of the costuming. We actually have an incredible top hat right up there. It's very detailed and nice, and it looks good from every angle as well. So I think it fits very well, especially for a figure that keeps the hair on its head as you put the hat on. That's usually a struggle for companies in this scale. Under it, you can see all the cool hair sculpt that the Joker has. Then he has these cool sunglasses, which actually clip behind the ears there, and they fit very, very snugly to the face. So I think that they work very well for what they're going for. We'll take those off. Now, it's worth noting that to put these things on, it's better to go from the bottom of the head than the top. The hair makes it very difficult to put these on without potentially breaking them. So now we can get a much better look at the head sculpt itself. And this is definitely a famous actor, but not one that modern audiences might consider a household name or anything. This is definitely made in the likeness of famous German expressionist actor Conrad Veidt. And if you're not sure who Conrad Veidt is, then you can be forgiven. He was the star of many German expressionist era films. Now, these films were made in the early 1900s, and in Germany they were having kind of a artistic renaissance, if you will, to where their films were much more surreal and much more artsy in a way, and trying to convey emotions rather than realism. And Conrad Veidt was one of the biggest stars of those films. In particular, he starred in two major films of that era. One of them is The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which I believe this head is more modeled after right here, considering the kind of strong eye makeup. And then the other head that we're going to be talking about is more of the Man Who Laughs that he also starred in. And here is that other head sculpt. You can see this is probably the image that you already have in your mind. This is an iconic horror character, but in a lot of ways that character has been misconstrued, as the film is much more of a tragedy about someone who was disfigured as a child. However, Jerry Robinson and Bob Kane have both commented on The Man Who Laughs being a big inspiration for the Joker. Now, what's interesting is not only is this a Joker figure and a Conrad Veidt figure, but I would actually say that this is a Silent Screamers figure as well. You can see here that we have the Nosferatu figure from Mezco in their 112 collection. And it's just a part of Mez's apparent love for these old silent movies. So I hope we continue to see things like this. And it wouldn't surprise me if we get a Man Who Laughs figure. I don't know if it would be able to use the same head sculpt, slightly repainted or what. But if we don't, I mean, this is pretty much the Man Who Laughs, the action figure. So incredible work, I have to say. You may be wondering, why would they go to that extreme to make him so much like that character? Well, the truth is the Joker isn't a major presence in Gotham by Gaslight. So even though this is branded in that way, this is more of just their fun way of doing their own take on a steampunk or late 1800s kind of Joker. Right, the other cool accessory that you get is this cool green scarf that you can see flowing right here. I'm just going to remove the head to make it a little easier to come off. You can do a lot of different things with this, and if you wanted to, you could stuff this down into the coat to where this is just more of an ascot that he's wearing, which is also fine as well. Some people kind of give it, the swoopy look, and to me it looks a little too, I don't know, Ebenezer Scrooge, if you will. So, but it's an option. All right, and here we have the Joker's awesome coat. It has this cool dust effect on it, which matches the dust effect on the shoes and the pants, as in this era, not everybody was running to the dry cleaners or using a washer and dryer constantly. Now, when I first got it out of the package, this was buttoned down here as well, but I kind of think that leads to kind of a boring profile. If this is unbuttoned, then you get all of this cool range with the legs. So this is so much cooler than what I just shown you. But I really think this is a nice coat, particularly because it's tailored very well to the figure. I initially online saw some people who had some concerns about that, but I certainly don't share those concerns because this is 10 times better than the tailoring that we saw on the Ultimate Joker release a few years ago, and it's just indicative of how far Mezco has come. Now, another tip I'm going to give you is when you unbutton this thing, I would be very careful, because if you just pull on the fabric, then there's some threads that are beginning to kind of pull out of these buttons. I don't know if they're actually going to come off, but it worries me a little. So what I do is I actually take my fingernail and get between the buttons, and once I'm in between them, I pull that way, and that way it lessens the strain on the coat. Really, he starts to look more like a golden age kind of classic appearance Joker. And that's some mileage I really didn't expect to get out of this figure in terms of display. As a matter of fact, then you can bring in your Ascending Knight Batman, and you pretty much got yourself an Ascending Joker. Now, I know this may not work for everybody, but it works plenty well enough for me. As a matter of fact, if you use the other head, this is very indicative of Joker's first appearance. In that first appearance, there is a panel in which the Joker's facial expression looks very much like this, probably because of the extreme influence that the actor Conrad Veidt had on those initial illustrations. So I believe they've done it. That makes this a, what, 4-in-1 Joker figure? Silent Screamers, Conrad Veidt, Ascending Joker, Gotham by Gaslight Joker, and don't forget Jack the Ripper, so it's really a 5-in-1. All right, but wait, there's more. So taking this middle button, which personally in my display, I'm probably going to have him looking like this a lot of the time because I love it so much. And I'm probably only going to have this middle button buttoned at any given time. But you see how I just pressed down with my fingernail against the coat like this, and then I pulled this one off? That's the way to do this without destroying the coat, trust me. So to make this a little easier, I want to remove those hands, which come off a little too easily for my taste most of the time, actually. And it's relatively simple. You just pull, and the first time you do this, it won't want to come off as easy. Do it a couple of times, and it loosens right up. All right, and there he is, sans coat. I'm gonna take his coat and put on the wardrobe back there. If you're wondering about the wardrobe, I just found this in a vendor's mall in my hometown. I think it was like made for a dollhouse, and it's real wood and everything. And it's just so cool because it scales so well with my Mezco stuff. So I've been using it for a little while on my dioramas. All right, now that the Joker is kind of stripped down to his base outfit, this is a good time to go over articulation. Looking at the head, it can go up a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked, probably because of the Joker's hair back here, and down quite a good ways. He can actually cock side to side a little bit better than usually the Joker figures can, and that's because this time the head and neck are separate. So you can see the neck moving right there, and then you add the head. It's not a whole piece like it had been previously. So I would actually call that an improvement. Looking down at the diaphragm, this is a huge range of motion, and it works very, very well. You can see he can go way far over and way far back, so that works spectacularly. You can see that he even gets a really decent side to side. He can do the twist. Right here, he has plenty of range on this shoulder hinge. You can go above 90 degrees and probably beyond this as well, but I didn't want to strain the shirt too badly. All right, speaking of straining the shirt, the whole arm can go up. You just have to twist the shirt to accommodate for that. So he can go way back and even much farther than that, I am sure. With the elbow here, which is probably what most people are going to want to know about, you can do a pivot, and is it double jointed? Well, no, but I want you to look at something. I'm going to take this as far in as it can go. That is a really, really, really good single joint. So much so that it does most of the things that a double joint might. Now, a double joint, yeah, he could probably get the fist a little bit closer like that, but honestly, I really don't need much more than this. So for me, it's not much of a point anymore about it not being a double joint, because Mezco has improved the single joint so much that it kind of negates the need for it for me. Although it is kind of funny that Mezco puts double joints on things that can't actually get double joint motion, like some of their Batman figures. At the wrist, it's what you always expect. with the swivel, and then there is a hinge on that. Now the hands do come off pretty easily, so I really have to work to get them on there very tightly to make sure they don't. Also, down here there is a waist joint, and it moves a little bit, but you don't want to do too much with these suspenders. You can also see that he can do a really decent split, and you wouldn't have to do any more than that, I don't think, with a figure such as this. Now the legs can go up a little bit above 90, so it's a great kick, totally uninhibited by the pants. There, it can go back a little bit like that. The upper thigh can actually swivel and rotate. And then there's no swivel or rotation at the knee, but there is a double jointed knee, so he can healthily kick his own butt. There is a great ankle pivot that has improved dramatically since the old days of Mezco figures. This is just another way that they're constantly taking in fan feedback and improving their figures. And look at that, no trouble whatsoever with stability. I sat him down immediately. And as you can see, if I take a look down, the feet are pretty well flat to the ground. I could get them a lot flatter than that if I wanted to. Of course, if you can't get them to balance right, you always have this stand. And hey, there I am. It's very basic looking. It's just kind of old-timey Joker. Hilariously, he comes with a flight cradle as well. I guess it's good that it's there, but it is really funny. So let's let the Joker take a break back there and go over some of the accessories. The Joker does have an array of alternate hands. Like I'd shown earlier, he does come with an open hand for the one that is now closed that I have on. You can see the fingertips are bloody as if he's been into some Jack the Ripper stuff. He does come with a strangling hand, which says ha-ha on it there, as if it's been engraved in. So more hints towards maybe possible Jack the Ripper kind of thing. Comes with this hand, which has the pinky out, and it looks like it could easily hold one of the playing cards. Speaking of playing cards, he comes with 3, and they're so small they're begging to be lost. Here's one displayed in that hand I was talking about earlier, and it is a heart, and it is a kind of like scientific, actual, like anatomical drawing of a heart. So it's disgusting, but it definitely goes with the theme of this figure. Hilariously, we also get a bat card. I wonder if he has any of the 1992 Batman Returns trading cards in there. And here's one that is a devil. Seems appropriate for this guy. Mezco has included something that I just call the collector's helper, little plastic Ziploc bag. Back to the hands, we have this one, which is meant to hold some of the weapons that we're going to show here in a minute. Holding hand, but this one is meant to hold the handle on a suitcase that we're going to be showing. We have 2 fisted hands, if you so desire. And this is an interesting one because it is another card holding hand. And I believe that's what it's used for. This Joker must play a lot of cards. And he comes with 2 pointing hands with his index finger. To prepare the Joker to show off his vast array of surgical equipment, we're going to say safety first and make sure he has PPE. Now that Joker is in accordance with CDC guidelines, it's time to look at his medical equipment. We see that it comes encased in this beautiful Victorian-era suitcase. You can see that there is a kind of a leather binding all around it. It's kind of got pock marks and scratches everywhere. This thing has been moved a few times as if the Joker has gone from city to city, killing indiscriminately. Here we can see that he has his initials, JKK, so make of that what you will, and kind of some locks and clamps here. We're going to open this thing up and see all the beautiful luggage he has brought, and look at that. You can see that we have a terrific array of implements here. These look a lot like surgical tools, especially those that would have been more common around the turn of the century. Particularly, you have some really horrifying stuff that looks like it might have been used by a barber or a dentist. Particularly these little clamps here, something that you could use to pull a tooth. Now, of course, back in these days, people who were dentists were also barbers, so it's interesting to think about there being some crossover between the tools. My great-grandfather actually did both as well. These are interesting, and I actually take them out because you can actually articulate this. They're so accurate that you can actually close them and clamp something as small as like the playing card, so these are actually pretty cool. Of course, I'm going to be respectful of your time and not show you every single one of these in his hands, but needless to say, he is capable of holding all of them with the included hands. The one weapon I will show in his hands is this insane hacksaw. Looks like a tetanus risk there for sure. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will. All right, a little information about how this figure was available. When I purchased this figure, he was listed on Mezco as the 2021 Con exclusive. Now, this would have been a figure that they would have had for San Diego Comic-Con or what have you, It would have been that sort of release. Of course, there wasn't anything like that going on this year, very sadly. Instead, they just did it from their website. Now, what's interesting is this figure was ready to go. There was no pre-order period whatsoever. He was just in stock. And he stayed in stock for a good 48 hours or so, maybe even longer. And there was plenty of opportunity for folks to get this. Now, I know that doesn't mean that everybody who wanted him was able to grab it, but a lot of them were. So I'm glad to see Mezco actually learning about what kinds of numbers they need for different exclusives. The same was true for the Casino de la Cucaracha exclusive box set that they did this year. However, now your only hope is Big Bad Toy Store for the time being till they run out, and then the secondary market. Initially, this figure was listed at $100, and for that price, I think he was well worth it, of course, after shipping. But this is extremely premium. It is basically 2 figures in one, and as I said earlier, it's sort of 5 in 1 figure when you think about all the different utilities and uses for this guy. He is not only a Conrad Veidt figure from 2 different films with The Man Who Laughs and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, he's also a Gotham by Gaslight Joker, or more of an imaginary version of what he would have been like if they had expanded more upon him. He's also kind of a Jack the Ripper figure as well. Not only that, but once you dress him up the right way and get him outfitted, then he can definitely be an ascending Joker figure to go with your ascending Knight Batman. But it seems that no matter what form you choose to dress this figure in, it just works. And this is one of those incredible once-in-a-lifetime releases from Mezco. Simply put, no other company is doing anything like this. And with Mezco having their Gotham by Gaslight Batman coming here in several months, then when that figure hits, you can be sure that the value of this one will go through the roof, with all the folks that passed on it after seeing Batman will probably suddenly want a Joker for him to go up against. So I'm really looking forward to that day when we can actually have a Batman that we can utilize with this guy. But until then, let me know in the comments below, do you think that this is the best Joker that Mezco has put out? For me, it may very well be. This is an incredible figure, and I have always loved it when comic illustrators have kind of skewed the Joker more towards Conrad Veidt and those old silent films. So this is really a dream come true for me, and definitely was exactly what I wanted as soon as I saw it. But your mileage may vary. Maybe this is just something that's a little weird to you and you're not sure you want to dip your toe in. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel. Well guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. God bless. Fanboy out.